Real questions, real answers for real life. Come on in and pull up a chair. You're at 1850 Main Street with Michael DelGiorno and David Zanotti.
So, who won this week's Republican primary debate in Iowa? Seems like it was the candidate who wasn't there.
So we should have just had a snowball fight in Iowa. It would have made more sense.
Or we could have made a snowman and made it into Governor Christie
and pretended it was Farmer Brown. I don't know. It what a mess, but what a definitive night. January the 10th, the day and the night in regards to the Republican nomination for the presidency. I think it's going to get glossed over by a lot of people because they don't want it to be over. The one-party media doesn't want it to be over. But I think January 10th was the first and maybe the biggest turning point in this entire conversation as regards to what's going to happen in the Republican primary.
There haven't been a lot of turning points really from the beginning, have there? I mean,
been a lot of churning points.
Yeah, because, Trump's kind of been leading from the beginning. So like Secretariat, it looks wire to wire. I did sense, like you, two things. One, it couldn't have been that good of a night. It couldn't have been the kind of night the GOP wanted. Here you are, center stage in Iowa, because you're not the incumbent, even though you got a former president, and you can't even get on the same stage. You're on two different stages, two different networks. The distant second and third are caught up in another one of those talking over each other, insulting each other, focused on each other, not Biden, not us, circus. And meanwhile, Donald Trump turns in, and I don't like to be over the top, that is the best version of Donald Trump I've ever seen in my life, was that night.
Let's talk with ratings because they've come out now. 2.5 million watching the CNN fiasco. I think it was 4.3 million watching Trump.
Did that say it all?
The Trump event was the most watched television event on TV on the night of January 10th.
And he couldn't have picked a better night. And because he looked great. He physically looked great. There was no over tanning, no orange or hair. I mean, he looked handsome, relaxed, sipping hot cocoa. He was substantive. Everything they threw at him, he handled so far. I've never seen, he almost won my vote last night.
It was funny you would say hot cocoa because it felt like DeSantis and Haley were in a snowball fight that turned into an ice ball fight. And they were out there like two playground kids that were just screaming and yelling and crying at each other all at the same time. And then there's Trump on Fox sipping cocoa with the crowd, just comfortable in his own skin, telling stories, the most empathetic now.
But focus beautifully, David. He was focused on what he had done, what has been broken since. They tried to throw all the, they're making you out to be the devil and a dictator and you're going to overthrow the government. He put all that into perspective. It was his bet. He did not perform that well in the debates prior to the 2016 election that elected him.
Now, people are going to think that overhear this conversation, there's two guys in the bag for Trump. I don't speak for you. You don't speak for me. I can tell you right now, I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I know I'm not voting for Joe Biden. I'm not going to say anything more than that because I don't endorse candidates and I don't want people to take my opinion in any way, shape, or form as reflective upon the organization that I serve at the American Policy Roundtable. We are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that doesn't that does not endorse candidates. I'm speaking for myself only, and there's no way I'm voting for Joe Biden. That part I got straight. I don't know what else is going to happen. I don't know what else is going to come down the line. But that being said, it's more than Trump. What we're talking about here is more than Trump. There are two people who started off with resumes that made them qualified to serve in the White House, Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. Those are serious candidates, serious contenders. We have watched in this campaign, they have devolved into middle school performers.
You say middle school. Do you know what it reminds? I had the pleasure of watching the Texas Ranger baseball organization, and we were the AA franchise in Tulsa, Oklahoma. David, you would sit next to me at the stadium. I'm trying to remember what the name of the stadium was now. I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. And so there'd be like 20 guys out there. You could tell who the major leaguers were going to be in a glance.
Yeah.
And you can tell who the minor leaguers were. to me, when I going back and forth, Donald Trump was the majors. Unfortunately, I think our sitting president may not be major league, but those other two candidates look like minor leaguers compared to Trump.
And but just as candidates, period. You drop Trump out of the equation. What happened to those two people is a tragedy. Those are two quality public servants. They let this process own them. They went to the worst and lowest common denominator. What does Joe Vick say? How does he say it?
You're embarrassing yourself and you've insulted me.
Yes, you're embarrassing yourself and you're insulting me. They were embarrassing themselves and insulting all the rest of us. And that's, Michael, if I could say anything, the thing that drives me crazy is that we let this happen to ourselves as humans. This is horrible. These people are better than the way that they acted in that dynamic.
But see, that's where I get a gut feeling. I wanted to have this, and we did it on your morning show, which is technically my morning show called Your Morning Show.
By design.
I wanted to do something by design that was humble and was finally about the listener, just like we're wanting these candidates to make it about us. But whenever you refer to it as your morning show, it sounds like I'm talking about your show.
Right.
But anyway, I actually...
Well, it's my show. My morning show is Michael.
Well, that's
it's your morning show with Michael DelGiorno.
That one you did come up with, by the way. All right, so I cut right to the chase. I think debates are over. I think town halls are the only way to go. I don't think we can, with the death of journalism, I don't think we can find a moderator that would be a moderator that would ask the same questions to everybody, that the candidates would answer with ideas and substance and not focus on each other. I don't know that they're possible. They're not possible amongst ourselves on Facebook and certainly among candidates. And that's part of what's making Trump shine.
From your lips to God's ears, I wish that people would come to the realization that is at least one positive selection. Choice in regards to the travesty that's likely to dawn upon us in regards to this coming election. Now, the irony in that is this: people have said the highly dedicated Trump supporters have viewed Joe Biden's performance and the performance of the Democrat machine as they're really terrified of Trump. That's why they're doing all these things. They're so frightened of him. They're so frightened he's going to win, and so on and so forth. I can read a map. I can look at the Electoral College.
They're not
can
afraid
read
at
polls.
all. No.
They're not afraid at all of Trump. They want Trump. They believe they can beat Trump. And they haven't even begun to play their full hand yet. But the point is this. Last night, if any of them was paying attention, project the person that you saw on the stage on Fox News standing next to Joe Biden.
Oh, my gosh. It would have been even worse.
In a debate.
Would have been even worse. Well, first of all, you could make the case that Joe Biden could even handle a town hall like that with questions coming at him from all directions. I want to cut to this, which is I'm a little more transparent. I'm just an American citizen. I don't make endorsements because I think that's a very intimate thing everybody has to decide on their own, and I'm not a political creature. I, as an American citizen, as a husband, as a father, I'm leaning somewhere between RFK and the hope and dream of a reinvented Donald Trump. And I got a glimpse of that last night. But let's just look at it in terms of something we both are not, Republicans. What a disaster. You got Governor Christie leaving the race, telling everybody the only reason he got in was to prevent Donald Trump from being able to win. You know, you and I have sat and done interviews with potential candidates, and I don't care if it's mayor of a city. I don't care if it's state representative, state senator, or United States House of Representatives or United States Senate. My first question is, why are you running? Now, there is no wrong necessarily answer. Hopefully there's just an honest one. I want to hear, I feel led to by God, or this has been just something that's been pulling at me. Governor Christie just said the worst thing a candidate could say. I was only running for president to keep Donald Trump, to harm Donald Trump. And then what does he do? He helps him getting caught. I mean, you call it a hot mic. It sounded like he was talking right into the mic. I mean, Richard Nixon couldn't get a recording like that. So you got Christie telling everybody Nikki Haley's going to get smoked. And then I talked to DeSantis today. He's petrified. I mean, what a disaster. Then you've got a debate going on one network, a town hall on another. I mean, right in your face. By the way, the town hall doubles virtually the ratings of the debate. I mean, what a disaster for the Republican Party.
Yeah, and this is also a question because Donald Trump referenced Michigan multiple times during his town hall. Well, I don't know if he's got the news reports that the Michigan Republican Party is in absolute shreds right now.
Yeah.
They just fired their state party chairman. They're broke.
Who, by the way, may not accept her firing.
Yeah, it was an election. She's not accepting the results of it. They're broke. They owe $100,000 to Jim Caviezel for a speech he made for them. I mean, all this stuff is coming out, and they're in a major presidential election year, and Donald Trump is talking about leading in the polls and winning in Michigan. All right, now that's where reality starts to leave the room. All right, there's more to the story than this. So this is where I think that Trump still has a if the election is held today, Trump loses. The way I see the Electoral College map, if the Trump we saw in Iowa a few nights ago is capable of getting his message out, then Biden's people have got a problem.
I was talking to one of Your Morning Show correspondents, and I said, don't forget, at this point, because he had made the comment that Joe Biden is committed to running. Well, you know what? LBJ was committed to running at this time. In fact, all the way into March, he was committed to running, and Bobby Kennedy was endorsing him. Boy, a lot changed before the convention.
Let me ask you a conspiracy question right out loud. If Biden wants to protect his son, Hunter, doesn't he need to win the election?
Win the election or exit stage right immediately.
If he exits stage right immediately, we talking about then he just pardons him on the way out the door?
There's that aspect, or the notion that if you just want him out of the way, they'll drop the investigation and drop the bone, if you will. It's one or the other. But I think...
But the Republicans would have to cut that deal with him, right?
Or would they just be willing to? I think a Gavin Newsom, whether it comes halfway or at the convention, is a stronger ticket. I think Donald Trump will do worse. Again, what you just described in Michigan, to me, looks very favorable for Robert Kennedy Jr.
Mm-hmm.
To me, because you got people in Michigan who are fed up with all of this nonsense.
Yeah.
They're looking for RFK. I think things are brewing. And I told you, it was a gut feeling I had that, if he gets smart in Nebraska, smart in Maine, grabs a couple delegates, keeps it from getting to 270. And then I said, if there's one state I think RFK could pull off yet, it might be Michigan, not either of these two.
Given the developments in the last week in Michigan, I think that's viable.
Michael began in talk radio over 30 years ago. David has been working in the field of public policy and media for over 40 years. They've been around and seen a lot. To learn more about Michael and David, visit 1850mainstreet.com.
You brought up something this morning. I thought, you talk about reality in the room. How about the inability to read a room?
Oh.
And I would go with, I think I might step on your thought here a little bit, but I don't mean to. When Nikki Haley starts giving the talking points and narratives a nod of the left on January 6th, and I'm thinking, wait, you'll go there, but you won't connect the dots with COVID and Fauci and closing the economy down?
So is she trying to get the Whoopi Goldberg vote? Is this it?
Well, she's certainly not. There's 33. Well, she's certainly not going to get on the ticket with Trump. And there's 33% of the Republican Party that's taboo to break. You're going to play the boogeyman card? Are you kidding me?
I mean, is she already going for the Liz Cheney factor? Is that what she's trying to do? I mean, at the same time she's making those comments on The View, Whoopi Goldberg is saying, I'm down on one knee begging Cheney to run. And I forget whether it was the Post or the Times or who it was, editorial I read recently saying it's a shame that none of these candidates are willing to, that they say they're opposed to Donald Trump, but they won't take on the January 6th issue. And all of a sudden last night, Haley takes on the January 6th issue.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to take a desperate cue from somebody, what are you taking it from The View instead of go ahead and connect those COVID dots?
Yeah.
Especially while you're in Iowa. Especially when DeSantis is there to amen it all. Meanwhile, by the way, Christie's across town going, oh, she's going to get smoked.
let's get a little bit more into other people's business where maybe we don't belong, but we'll try anyhow. How does DeSantis now walk away correctly? Because this is a guy that's got a political future.
Yeah, that's a smart. First of all, let us say something for Ron DeSantis gets the Ted Cruz Award in my mind, in that the idea of Governor DeSantis is much better than the candidate Governor DeSantis.
In this climate at this moment.
Yeah, this is a great guy who wasn't born into wealth, worked hard, got a great degree from an Ivy League university, got a great law degree from an Ivy League university. And what did he do with that? Did he go to a law firm? Did he start running for public offices? No, he went and served his country 16 years and served special forces as a JAG officer. And then runs for the House, then becomes governor, does a great job as governor, won some really tough races for governor. And what he did in this last race, especially down in Miami-Dade County, I think is breathtaking, carrying the Hispanic vote. This is a very, very good guy. This is a very good husband, a very good father, a very good American. This first foray into national politics, not such a great performance. I think you exit better than Christie did, obviously, and make sure you don't have a mic on. But I think you bring up the best point. If this guy has a future for 4 years from now, has he helped himself or hurt himself? Are we gonna view him 4 years from now as the great governor from Florida, one of the few who got COVID right? Are we going to view him as the guy that was a terrible candidate in 2024? That's a big problem for him. I guess what I'm saying is I think he's done. Done.
And I will tell you that I've talked to people in Florida, regular, everyday working people in Florida, who really like Ron DeSantis and speak with him with greatest respect. And they said he didn't read the Times correctly. He is in a great position to finish out his term serving the people of Florida well, and they want to reward him. They want him to stay around. They want him to run for more offices. They want things to happen for him.
He's going to end up a United States senator more than a president.
But there's no way in the world anyone was going to take on Donald Trump in the Republican primary and win, because when Trump came down the escalator, he set things in motion that were not going to play out in a quick fashion. As long as Trump has got the capacity and wants to go, he's going to be a player in the game. And there's no sense for DeSantis, who's got his whole career in front of him, to try to get in front of that train. Now, if the train went off the rails and they needed help, DeSantis was the go-to guy to come and make it happen. But to try to take on a champion in that fight made no sense. These are Floridians who have great respect for this guy. So to me, for his future, the faster he gets out, the better he is.
Well, I think that's coming up. I can't imagine. Let me ask you hypothetically, what kind of a number, obviously, if he comes in third behind a distant third behind Trump, and he can't even beat Haley, he is gone. If he should do better than Haley in Iowa, a week ago we'd have said he should still be gone. He might feel like that's momentum.
No, they should both be gone.
They both should be gone. Well, no, they both, trust me, after last night, they're both gone.
They've really disenfranchised themselves with their own bases on that. It's just they're done. It's over. They blew it up, and they blew it up because they made the same mistake that was made in 2016. You have to pick one, cut a deal, make something happen, and go one candidate versus Trump. That's the only chance they had. They didn't do it. They were dead from the beginning.
And it's going to end up being Vivek.
Well,
it's going to end up being Vivek.
Well, now here's my question. So Trump said last night he knows who his vice president is. That doesn't mean that whoever that person is knows. So it doesn't mean that he's even been asked. But if you were a guessing man, who do you think he goes with?
You know, it's funny.
Yeah, I'll give you three.
Oh, no, you don't have to. It's not that I can't think of a name. It's that I normally have such a strong gut feeling on these things. And on this one, I don't. I think he can go Youngkin in Virginia, because that's going to be key to get Virginia. I think he's already made his mind up about a governor in South Dakota, potentially. I don't think it's anybody that's been running, and I would be shocked if it's Vivek. I can't imagine what that, unless he's going to try to go add some youth to this. I'm going to go with either the governor of Virginia or the governor of South Dakota.
Okay, so Kristi Noem or Youngkin. All right. I'm going to add Vivek in the list because it just, hey, he fits in the lane with Trump and he's controversial and who knows? Maybe that's the fireworks that he wants.
Well, he would add the verbal abilities that lacked in the last administration.
Yeah, I would go with the potential of John James from Michigan, congressman from Michigan.
I hadn't thought about playing for the Michigan.
Right.
Maybe he tipped his hand.
Play for Michigan with James. Kristi Noem's good. I'll throw Jim Jordan in the mix.
Ohio used to be the swing state. Now Ohio and Florida aren't nearly the swing states they used to be. And I don't know that unite. I mean, that's the same base too. What we're ignoring is here's what Nikki Haley brought to the table. Look, you could tell by watching Fox, she's the establishment candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki Haley and Donald Trump give the party, not my party, their party, the best chance of uniting going into a general election.
Don't see it that way. I don't think that the farther right side of Trump's base likes Haley at all. I think they distrust her.
Well, of course, after last night, especially. But So now, having said that, I don't know who that person is. Maybe it is a Youngkin. That would steer me away from Jordan. Historically, and you're the history guy, Kennedy didn't like Johnson. You know how he ended up with Lyndon Johnson? Because Lyndon Johnson was right there on his tail.
When it comes to Donald Trump, you throw the history book out. He hasn't read it, and it probably doesn't matter anyways with him.
But usually, Kennedy needed Texas. Kennedy needed to unite the party. Lyndon Johnson was the liberal. He was the conservative. They were neck and neck. This is how he cut the deal. I guess Donald Trump is the art of the deal, doesn't cut deals. But I think it's going to be Noem or
Youngkin's the only person
I guess that's my
who
answer.
Brings him anything that he needs other than Jordan, who unites his base, because Trump's answer on the abortion question on the January 10th town hall was profound. It was incredibly empathetic with the person who asked the question. It was very respectful. He articulated more clearly what he's been trying to say, which is that we've got to get to a point of consensus to keep the ball rolling to save more lives. And we don't have uniform consensus yet in the country, and we have to work this out and figure out how to get there. And some of the things that are now in the books don't represent consensus. He spoke eloquently about the question of a 6-month ban. And said it's just simply, it's hard to present that as electorally plausible when you're dealing in a situation where women don't even know they're pregnant yet. He said that's problematic. We've got to think about these things and he would say we have to keep elections in mind. What he really is trying to say, and still stumbles, is it's a consensus question. You've got to build the consensus and win the debate. We're in a new time of history. But I thought he handled the question better than any of the Republicans have yet during this entire debate, which I was surprised. It was quite remarkable. All right, so I had a surprise for you. Oh, who's the surprise that could be the vice president? Oh, I'll give you one more surprise. Ready?
I'm ready.
Huckabee.
Mike Huckabee.
No, his daughter.
Oh, yes. That Sarah Huckabee, that would be very. Does she still want the Sarah Sanders Huckabee?
I think
Sanders?
I think she calls her.
Or just Sarah Sanders.
That's unfair. I set you up. But, hey, we're having coffee. What the heck?
Yeah. No, I like that. Actually.
Sarah Sanders Huckabee.
That energized me the most.
Or Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Sorry.
I think she wants to be Sarah Huckabee, just Sarah Sanders now. Yeah. But yeah, the governor of Arkansas, that'd be a terrific choice. Boy, from your lips to God's ears on that. Or do you think she'd be better off coaching Alabama?
The conversations are just getting started. To get connected, check out 1850mainstreet.com. We don't data mine anyone or sell your information. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single conversation. We'll see you next time here at 1850 Main Street.